we go. Welcome to Tampa Home Talk with your host, native Tampa real estate girl, Katrina Madewell, a full-time passionate, out-of-the-box thinker with love for home ownership kind of realtor with nearly 30 years of combined mortgage and real estate experience. Tune in every week. Get ready to make radio history and everything you need to know about home ownership, finance, maintaining great credit, building wealth, and making your everyday life. Howard Stern and Scott Shannon are listening. Financially successful today and tomorrow. Remember, love where you live or let Katrina fix it. Now, here's your host of Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell.
Well, good morning. This is Tampa Home Talk, and welcome back if you are still listening from hour number 1 into hour number 2. Today's show is all about 9 small updates for a huge value. And if you missed the earlier part of the show, it will be available on a podcast and a little bit of a chopped up video.
Oh, yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll find out.
I have to say a welcome to our next guest, which is in the studio, and a very, very warm welcome for the photographer to the rescue. I'm just saying. Mr. Eric Bunch, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We're glad you're back. Thanks for rejoining us.
Yeah, I'm glad I could fix the camera right at the right
It's why we brought you.
We are too. We didn't know, but isn't that nice how it works out? Like,
Hey,
at least we didn't need an engineer this week.
Yeah,
We'll be
that's
all right.
true. That's true.
So if you're just now joining us, let me recap you real quick on some of the things that we talked about. And we're going over 9 updates for a huge impact on value, whether you're staying in your home and you love where you live, or you would like to update your home so that you can get the highest return on investment and sell it in the shortest amount of time for the most amount of money. These things will help you do that in a very timely manner. Number 1, we had James on this morning talking all about cabinets. You don't necessarily have to replace your entire kitchen. You can reface it. You can change the doors. There's a lot of things you can do to sort of design on a dime for a fraction of the cost to actually make it show well and make the space feel really inviting. The second thing on our list was new matching stainless steel appliances, because when you update and renovate your kitchen, you don't want to, leave those old appliances. Give it a whole new fresh update with some new matching appliances, matching brands too. I don't think we even talked about that. The third thing on the list is a deep cleaning. So deep cleaning, meaning your entire house, the areas that don't get touched very often.
Floorboards.
Yes, the baseboards, all that sort of stuff. And then moving right into cleaning is replacing your floors or cleaning your existing floors, depending on your budget and depending on what is there. And Mr. Rich Nation can help you out with that. The 5th thing on our list was painting. A fresh coat of paint goes a long way. This is one of the things you can do yourself. It's a daunting task. It's not fun. But if you're on a tight budget, it's one of those things where you can save some money. Just make sure you have nice, clean paint jobs, and it doesn't look like your kindergartner painted the house.
and it wasn't on our list, but something that we did talk about at the beginning was, if you do want to put your house on the market, having a budget that you can spend a little money on to make sure that you can get this thing done, right? Because you can't do any of this. Even you got to have something, right?
$500, give me something. Well, and here's the thing. There's been instances where the homeowner maybe just doesn't have the cash.
That's true.
But they can totally agree and see the vision with the updates this will make. We will actually advance the money for our clients and our sellers to get their updates done.
Awfully generous.
Yeah. So, like with everything, there's a cost to do that, but it's well worth it because the money you're going to spend, you will get back 2-3 times over. Absolutely. So it's well worth it. The next thing on our list, very near and dear to our heart and to my special guest in the studio, Kim Bridges, is home staging. Yes. This is one of the little things that I see so many realtors skip over this and say, "Oh, I don't need a home stager. I don't, that's not that important. Like I'll do virtual staging, or I'll just, we'll just tidy up. It'll be fine."
No, doesn't work. How many houses have I seen lately that, I'm like, they really could have used a stager.
Kim's like, I think I'm going to draw out my card in these houses that I'm looking at because we could already have this thing sold.
Yeah, I mean, odd furniture placement that works for life doesn't work for staging. So
explain a little bit what you mean about that.
Okay, so if you have this odd room that is, you didn't know what to do with it when you first moved there, and it was perfect for your, cat tower and your office desk, that doesn't play well for selling your home. people they may not have cats, and they may not need an office desk.
That's one of the big thorns on the side I think we see, because a lot of people work from home.
Yes.
And sometimes maybe they're out of space. That's why they're moving. And so the placement of that desk, a lot of times, like in the kitchen or the living area, is just off.
Well, it makes it look cluttered. It makes it look like you don't have enough space. You never want to give the idea to a future potential home buyer that you don't have enough space, that you don't have enough cabinets, that you don't have enough storage, that you know, even the stuff that's hidden. I always recommend cleaning out cabinets at least by half. And that's something that you can do ahead of time that doesn't cost you any money, is to clean out your cabinets by half, so that when someone opens your closet door or opens your cabinet in your kitchen or your linen,
right?
Yes, it seems huge because there's only half the stuff there, because they're thinking about their cabinets that's overflowing with plastic, containers and towels and sheets.
It's all perspective. That's so smart. I love that.
Well, one of the things we talk about when we go in, and this is right before Kim gets there, is we talk about the 3 Ps of selling your home.
Yes.
The 3 Ps.
And that's planning, preparing and pre-packing, and purging.
Was that 4?
It's probably 4, yeah. Really, but I mean, the planning, right,
5
goes
photographs.
into that.
Purging should count for more than one.
Sorry?
Purging should count for a couple of them.
Yeah.
I need to do
That's
a
so
purge.
hard.
I
Yeah.
need to do a good,
It's really hard.
summer purge and get rid of half my
Part
stuff.
4.
Not the movie. We're talking about your house.
Yeah, we're talking about like my
That's why I
closet.
said part 4.
No rules, but it's the closet. So
I haven't given out our number yet this hour, but it's 813-377-2775 if you want to catch up with any of our guests I have on the air this hour or last hour, anytime. 813-377-2775. And you can call or text that number. Even if you just text hello, that's fine. 813-377-2775. And if you're listening and you text hello and you want to be added to our updates, we will do that, because we're going to send you amazing updates on how to just make your everyday life better, little snippets from the show, and just all kinds of really cool things.
If we can step back too, part of the home staging process, is I go in and I, tell you everything that you need to take out.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what I was going to talk about, is how does home staging work? For the person that's not familiar, what is that?
Okay. So home staging is not necessarily decorating. Because
people think that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they think it's just interior decorating. But interior decorating is actually for living. That's your things, your personality. Home staging is to appeal to the greatest number of people at one time without, offending someone or causing them to turn around and walk out the door because you've got purple walls or whatever. Yeah. So
one of the tips we give people, Kim, and I know you've heard me say this, is when we put your home on the market and we're paring down and staging and getting ready, we don't want the person that walks through your home to know who lives there. Right. So they shouldn't know if you are black, white, Hispanic, male, female, single, have kids, don't. They really shouldn't know much about you.
They shouldn't know about your sports teams or your religious preference or any of that.
I've seen people literally pull up and see like a Seminole flag.
They probably shouldn't have worn this hat, huh?
Say, like they will see a Seminole flag or a Gator flag or whatever, or the rival flag outside the house, and then they will turn around and walk around. And I've had knockdown, drag out fights with some of my sellers about this. Yeah. I'm like, listen, I know you love your Seminole flag, but all we're doing is pre-packing it so you can take it to your next house.
Right. And that's exactly what you're doing, because you're trying to make this now a house that can become a home, not someone else's home that you're looking to potentially buy, because that never works. I don't want to think about the people who lived there before. I'm going to get distracted. I'm going to be interested probably in the people that live there.
So I say this all the time. One of the things we have people do is remove all of their personal photos.
Yes.
Again, I don't want the person knowing who lives there. Is it or is it not human nature, Kim? When we walk through a property and people have photos on the wall, you have to look to see who lives there.
You make a beeline to those photos to look at the people.
And buyers have conversations like, oh, I wonder why they're moving, And
yes.
if it's too,
and they're not
There's
thinking,
always that. Yeah. Why are you moving? What's wrong with the area?
Why am I so lucky to get this house, right?
Well, like you said, I've never heard it put that way, but it's so true. Buyers are looking, why should I not buy this house?
Always. They're always looking to not buy the house, because it's such an emotional attachment that you're going to look, like you said, why am I so lucky to get this house?
Yeah.
You want to find that emotional attachment. And this is what I say when I drive up to a house. Okay, is this a house when I drive up, I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm so glad to be home.
Yes.
And that's the feeling that you want, is I'm so glad to be home, not, I have to go home.
Oh,
nobody ever wants
That's how I feel now in the middle of the kitchen rental for 6 weeks.
Absolutely.
It's interesting you say that, because when we purchased our house here in Willow pond, we looked at 3 or 4 houses, and as soon as we walked in that house, I had a feeling come over me, and I said, this feels right.
Yes.
And that's
This just feels right. There was a lot of renovations to be done. We had to take some of the old stuff that was put in 12 years ago and modernize it for our taste and what we wanted, but it just felt right.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is, Kim, with home staging, you're creating that feeling.
Yes.
I would say that pretty much narrows it spot on.
Exactly.
All right, so when we come back right after this break with Kim, we're going to talk about how long does home staging take, what all does it include, and give you an idea of what it costs to stage a home. It's more reasonable than you might think. Photographer for NTP2 Photography. And so going back to some of the questions that I had with Kim, I was asking how long does it take to actually stage a home? What does it include? What can I expect? What kind of changes when I stage my home?
Okay, so from the beginning process, when you decide, yes, I'm going to pay to have my home staged, I come and do a staging report. I walk through the house. I look at your paint colors. I look at if you need updates. Those all go in the report, whether you have the budget for it or not. You don't have to do everything on the list. This is just what I see from the staging aspect. It's not to be mean. It's not to say, oh, your house is never going to sell, because any of these items is going to help towards that.
Well, here's the thing. It's a neutral recommendation.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to do anything on it, but
Right.
Here's how we fix it if you don't do it.
Exactly.
With price.
Right. Exactly. It's either if you want top dollar, then you need to do these updates. We can't guarantee anything, but if you don't do these things, definitely you're not going to get the foot traffic that you would if you did
and
most
again,
of these items.
We meet a lot of people in the middle, right? Like
Right.
This is your list, and we
Yes.
got a smaller budget. Let's figure out what makes
what
the
we
most
can
sense.
do, absolutely. And just like Rich had talked about, your floors and your walls are the biggest areas in your home. And so when I walk through for a staging report, yes, I make those small recommendations about cleaning out cabinets, changing paint colors for better photography, better lighting. We also talk about furniture placement, getting rid of bigger pieces, because if you look at your floor space as money, then your square footage equals money. The more square footage you
Floor
have
and
covered
wall.
up,
Floor
floor
and
and wall.
You
The
want
more you have covered
to
up,
streamline.
absolutely. You want to get rid of as much possible, but don't do it just on the random. Please have someone come in and say, yes, leave this, don't leave, leave this, don't leave this.
So don't take out the couch for like a folding chair. And
Right,
say,
exactly.
Oh, I got more space. They'll
right.
love it.
Yeah, because if the room doesn't make sense, then that's not going to make sense to the buyer. They're not gonna. They need to see what the room means. What is the purpose of this room? Mm-hmm. If the room doesn't have a purpose, even if it's obvious to you, you live there. You already know what the purpose is. That's how you live.
But people literally, when they walk into a home, I see them say, okay, yeah, the TV would go here, the couch goes here. They don't, it's really hard for their mind. They start searching where and how stuff would go. Oh, if I'm cooking dinner, I want to see the TV here.
Right.
For me, I know automatically, but most buyers, it doesn't turn on their brain like that.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, they're in a foreign area that they're just trying to process, do I like this house? Right. And if you can take away as many objections on the front end as possible, then you're way ahead of the game. So a staging report costs $150, which if you sign with Katrina is waived. Right. So it's free. And that's
because she knows I'm going to sell your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have absolutely no doubt that she is going to sell it and sell it faster than anyone else I work with.
Yes.
So when I come in to do the staging, so I stage occupied and occupied homes. So
Unoccupied.
both.
Right.
Unoccupied. Yes.
Yeah.
So if your home is occupied, you're still living there. So I'm going to make all these recommendations. We're going to get all that stuff out of the way, and then depending, maybe you don't, maybe we need some color here. Most people tend to go neutral with everything because they're afraid of color, or they put really crazy colors on the walls, and we got to get rid of all that.
Yeah,
so it brings it back down to neutral. So I will bring in, curtains or pillows or plants, and the things that you don't have, I will bring in to make it a cohesive look so that it can be photographed and presented, in the most neutral possible way. And you're not out of pocket. You don't have to go and buy all those things.
Well, the bottom line is you're in the home, you're staging it, and we'll talk about this with Eric in a few minutes. But when you actually get that photo, It's a still photo for a moment in time.
Right.
And so what I tell my people, even when we're uploading pictures to the MLS, is, and we'll get maybe 50 photos or whatever, when you're looking at that photo, your eye will go directly somewhere.
Yes.
Right? And so that's the stager's job, and they know that. Is what's the focal point of this room going to be? When there's a still photograph taken of this room, where's the person's eye going to go?
Exactly. And that's why we want everything neutral except where we want the eye to go. And that's going to be the furthest point of the room because that makes it seem more spacious. So the way we do that is through color. And we can either put a piece of art on the very furthest part. We'll put a green tree against a white wall. We'll use a red pillow in a chair that's in the farthest part of the room. Those draw the eye to the furthest part of the room and create space. So the room seems a lot bigger than it is.
A focal point.
Yes, it's a focal. Well, your eye will naturally go to whatever color.
If everything else is vanilla,
yes.
Where's the chocolate?
Exactly. So that's part of the process, and I've had homeowners take down pictures that were stopping the eye before it could go all the way to the end of the house. And when I actually, explained the process, they're like, "Oh, I see it." It was a light bulb for them.
Well, when you can really feel it, right? Like I think if a homeowner is there during the staging process, they kind of see it a little bit, but I actually love it when they leave
and come back,
do her magic and come back. It's literally like I tell people all the time, real estate is not like HGTV, but that is an HGTV moment. It really is.
Yeah.
Like when they come in and then the home's
it's
all
so
different.
Fun. Yeah, it's so fun.
When you restage a home, they go, "Okay, I'm not selling now."
We get that a lot.
Well, most of the time they have to move. They're moving for a reason, moving out of state or whatever, or to another area, or they need more space. But yeah, I've often had that, and they say, well, and there was one lady that said she was moving to Louisiana, and she said,
I hope she's okay right now.
Yes, they are. I checked on them yesterday.
Oh, good. Well, she said, I now see the value of having an interior designer come into my home. She said, I would never have thought to do those things, and you showed me, that I need someone help.
Is that roughly a new concept? Because I remember the very first time I seen it, I did a job for her, for Katrina, at a house, and there was a lot of furniture in the house, and I thought to myself, why would you want to come show a house with other people's furniture in it? Right. But that was kind of new to me, and I was questioning why. But is that kind of a new concept, or how long has that been taking place?
It's been around 10 plus years, but it's taken a long time
I'd
because
say 15, 20-ish.
Yeah, I mean it's been very resistant. Even now, with so many realtors in Florida, very few use stagers. It's been cost prohibitive before.
And what do you do with an empty home? Can you bring in furniture to stage it, or how does that work?
The way that works is, depending on the home size, I prefer to use smaller pieces that I can handle myself. That way I keep the cost low, very low.
Yeah, because if you have to rent furniture and stuff, it's going to really add to the cost.
Yes, it adds way to the price. Now, it looks great. You've seen the makeovers on the home shows and stuff. This is going to be on a much smaller scale. So instead of a sofa, I might bring a chaise lounge or a bench with a rug.
One of the things we do if people are moving and they're not taking furniture with them, we're like, leave it, please.
Yes.
And we'll utilize that furniture in the home staging process, and then we will sell it for you when it's done. We'll post it up online.
Or take it away, whatever works, if it works within the house. But an empty home is just a shell. You can look at all. If it's just bland, there's no great defining features, furniture can really bring it to life. That's one of the purposes for staging an unoccupied home. You might think, well, if it's all clean and new and great, why do I need furniture? And that's why. Yep. Because it does make you think home instead of, it's just an empty shell.
Yeah.
And you can see the furniture placement.
So one of the properties, and sometimes things just need a little bit of work, right?
Yes.
Like you staged a property for us on Viscount. We sold that property. We actually had to restage it, which is something that we don't have to do often. Nope. But what happened was an agent that's no longer with me actually listed the property, kind of neglected the seller, and he was a military guy that had to move. He had orders to move. He was very clear about that to the agent that he met with, and it pretty much got dumped off in like and nothing happened with it.
Oh, no.
And so I got the call, of course, when the guy was mad and ready to pull the listing and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of went in, saw his house, re-smoothed things over and said, look, I've got some ideas for your home. Let me take a fresh look around, see what I think, and let's get some ideas on how we can make this better. And so one of the things I did, and it's one of the tips on our list, which is how the content for the show comes about, is lighting. Yes. So with the way the kitchen was laid out, it was on the right hand side of the home against the wall. So there was no windows per se right there because it's the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then the island with the sink was open to the living room and the rest of the house. So I went in right away. I went to the local store and bought all new LED light bulbs. I literally had the guy take them out of the box in the store so I could check the color on them. And I came back with all new light fixtures, and the homeowner helped me screw them all in, get it ready. But that's one of the things we did was change the light fixtures, and that's number 8 on our list. And curb appeal is up there too. So I'm gonna kind of brush past that one in the interest of time. But the curb appeal is so important. If the buyer does not like the outside, they're not coming in.
No one ever says, let's go look at the ugliest house in the neighborhood.
Yes. So the curb appeal is really important. Don't skip over that. And then lighting. The LED lighting goes such a long, long, long way. And then the bonus things on our list is photography. And we're going to talk about that when we come back right after the break. I'm going to add a couple more tiny staging pieces. So stick around. We got an action-packed show for the next 30 minutes. We'll be back.
Time to give you your latest traffic update from Money Talk 1010, and it's not a bad one. Workers' compensation denied, fired after you're injured on the job. Call Papa and Gype, 727-461-HELP. Or go ahead, log on to their website, papaandgype.com. All right, keep an eye on everything, and all morning long, it has not been a bad ride into work on this Friday. 275, green and go all the way down from the Barris Avenue area, Lutz Land Lakes. If you're just jumping on 75 or 275, all the way to the interchange.
What's on the inside of it?
Earlier stuff along Ulmerton Road, 275, Gandy, all check and clear in Pinellas County.
Do you want to?
Let's look over here.
The Taco Bell
Boulevard. Construction's pretty much wrapped up.
Amount of time sometimes preparing and setting up so that when you get there, Eric, it's amazing. The house just shows well. Because here's the thing, the photos mean everything.
They do.
And we talk about this in the listing presentation, and this is a true stat. NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, every single year they do the profile of a home buyer and the profile of a home seller. And they talk in there about, who the buyers are, who the sellers are, do they have an agent, how'd they find the home, all this sort of stuff. And what we found is right now, because there's so much information online, buyers are looking at 5 to 10 homes or less than 10 homes usually for sure. And they choose which homes they're going to look at based on the photos.
Yes.
Based on the photos.
Yes.
How many of you eliminated based on the photos?
Oh, yeah. If I look at it and the kitchen is crap, I'm like, next. Or if the refrigerator's too small.
No need to waste anybody's time.
Exactly.
If
the refrigerator's too small, next.
Yep.
Or if it's messy, if I see somebody's dirty laundry everywhere, next. I'm not even going to look at it.
So that's my job, to make sure that it's ready for you when you get there, Eric, because I know your photography is going to be the top 3 things that we do. And it's going to help me sell that house.
Absolutely. I always say that you want it to be bright and welcoming. That initial photo will really make or break whether they're going to look into the listing and look at the rest of the photos. And there's very simple things when a realtor calls me, they want me to go shoot a house. There's a couple of things that I go ahead and let them know ahead of time to look for before bringing me in. One of the things is the vanity lighting. If you've got an 8-lamp vanity and one of the bulbs is out, then it will kind of show that, they can't even replace that bulb. What else is going on with the house?
Kim and I are laughing because that's always on the list.
Yes, that's always on the list.
I have stories of literally going and shooting a house, and I'll have to collect all the light bulbs from the working fixtures, and I'm literally carrying them in my shirt to go shuffle them around to the kitchen, the bathrooms, because it will make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. So lighting, photography is important, but the lighting's got to be right before you get there.
I always have a saying, it's called pay attention to detail. Mm-hmm. It's extremely important.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I mean, it's just, you don't know what you don't know, right? So, I mean, you might think something as simple, oh, light bulb, people know that. But it's one of the things, like, you probably don't realize that, but we know, like, if that's in a photo, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
I have a question, and you said, okay, lighting, maybe people might not think about that. People should think about their dirty clothes. You said you saw photographs with dirty clothes. Have you ever been asked to take pictures of houses where piles of dirty clothes?
No, we have to pile things up in the laundry room typically.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture of the laundry room.
Push it all out so you can take a picture.
And they'll say, well, there's a laundry basket, and I'm like, it's a laundry room. It's okay. It can stay there. But normally after we take the picture of that, then all the rest of the clutter goes into that room.
We've done that before too. We've had ones that just refused to stage, and the house was so dang cluttered that we had to literally move stuff from one area to the next so that it didn't show up in the pictures.
You clean it like you do when you're 7. Just shove it under the bed and put
whatever you gotta do.
I
mean, sometimes we're walking in for a showing. If we're walking in for a showing and there's stuff everywhere.
Oh,
I mean, I had this house a block off Bayshore. It was an 8,000 square foot home.
Ooh.
The kids occupied the master bedroom. How weird is that? And every time I would go to show this home, mind you, it's an 8,000 square foot home, South Tampa area, block off Bayshore. There would be empty water bottles, pizza that's a day or two old. I had to literally make sure I got there 15, 20 minutes early minimum every time I went to show this home because I knew I was going to have to clean up junk after the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
and
do that.
it's the best photographers to know that. Like if your photographer's going in just shooting pictures of stuff, like, and you check it, right? Like you're looking at it through the lens going, what's showing up?
Yeah, I always walk through a house without my camera, and I'll show up, and they'll say, "Oh, do you have your camera?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course I do."
No, I'm the photographer.
Yes, of course I do.
I don't have my-
But I'm gonna walk through the home, look for these things, let them know,
Eric,
hey, can we?
You
move
have to do that
this?
next time when someone says, "Do you have your camera?" You should say, "Yeah," and hand them your phone, just for a joke. That'd be fun.
See, my running joke is everyone hands me their phone. They're like, "Hey, can you get a picture of us?" I don't know how to use this thing. I'm not an iPhone photographer.
He knew how to fix the camera here.
Yes, I knew how to fix
Thankfully.
the camera.
So what are some of the things you do as a photographer to set up, right, when you come in to the home, if they haven't already been prepared? And if you're not working with someone as amazing as Kim and I that have already done all the dirty work for you and got everything all set up, what do you have to do as the photographer? Tell me about that process.
Well, the main thing I do when I get that first initial call is I go over the lighting, looking for the bulbs that are burnt out, making sure that there are spare bulbs at the house, and then looking for too much cluttered area. Ironically, I do have to actually say that ahead of time before showing up. I at first I thought it was assumed, but it's not. So when I get there, I walk around the house. I'll turn on all the lights, and the big thing is if the light fixture's not on, then you're wondering, well, does it not work? Is the outlet broken? It's not adding a lot to the lighting of the room, but it shows that it's on and that it does work.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing that I do is walk around, look for these things. Bathrooms, looking for like personal care products to make sure those aren't too cluttered.
Yes.
Decorative soap containers, those are fine to stay there.
One of the little things we do, Eric, this might be a little tip for you if you have somebody that you're working with that's not us.
Mm-hmm.
We keep those little IKEA bins with us. How many times do I leave those for the homeowner? I'm like, I know this is stuff you use all the time. You leave it on your counter. I want to make it easy for you and functional when you're living here. Throw it in the bin, and we're going to make room where you can stick it under the sink.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always tell them to have a shower caddy that they can put everything in there, and that's where you keep it. I mean, living in a staged home, getting ready to sell your home is not the easiest thing, but it is worth it.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
It's not. And we realize that. But again, if you're home staged and you're photographed beautifully and it's super inviting, that's really where the value comes because we know you're going to sell it in the fastest amount of time, for the most amount of money.
Well, you're definitely going to have more foot traffic just based on the photographs.
So what do you do when you get like a smaller home or something that's more challenging? Maybe it's not that visually appealing. What are your thoughts as a photographer when you have to shoot a house like that?
Shooting a smaller home, maybe it's not visually appealing. So I go in and I use flash when I'm shooting a home, and that will help everything to pop. It's really just picking the right angles to make the room look as large as possible. So if it is a smaller home, and now that thanks to MLS for changing it from 25 to 50 photos,
thank goodness.
It's great. But now I'll go to 1,000 square foot home, and they'll say, "Oh, I get 50 photos, right?" And I'm going, there's only so many things
You don't
we
need-
can
you don't need
showcase
50 photos.
in this home. But that's what I do. It's finding those unique features that will separate that home from everything else,
Yes.
and making sure, all right, well, maybe there's a closet that has a built-in organization rack. Well, we're going to photograph that, which typically we may not. But
What
if
if
it's
the
a
house
smaller
is just
home,
not that great? You show up and it's just not that great.
hey, flash does wonders. I'm telling you. You go in there, you fill it with enough flash, it can make a struggling home be appealing.
One of the tips we
Lighting is
do.
the biggest thing.
Yes.
Lighting's huge. We have a hard time selling a home, maybe it's like it's a little dumper, just hard, or it's a tiny home, or there's for whatever reason, it's a hard home to sell. Many times what we're going to do is sell the area around it. So if there's popular restaurants, if it's close to the beach, if it's close to whatever major attractions, we're going to photograph the front of the businesses or areas to show that
Snap
this
a
is
photo of the local Chick-fil-A. Be
well,
like,
it's
"You're
close. Well,
3 blocks
it's
away."
Well, you
close
got to
proximity.
figure because, I mean, yeah, you can do that on the back end, but you can't post that picture because MLS has the different regulations on people. And
Yeah, well, photos and that sort of stuff. But, like, for example, if it's close to beaches or parks and that sort of stuff, we're photographing all of that sort of stuff because it's close, right?
Yeah.
To where it's part of the selling feature of that home. It's in the description, right? And all of those sort of things. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about LED lighting, a little bit more about photos, and how you can be completely prepared before the photographer shows up. So we'll have Kim chime in just a little bit more on some of the things before Eric gets there. Our off-air number, 813-377-2775. This show this week is designed all around love where you live, the true meaning of love where you live, or we're gonna fix it. Whether that's sell your home or help get you some of the connections that we have on the air today. We'll be back right after this break, so stick around. Couple of hours. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. Again, you can call or text us at 813-377-2775. Adam, you're fired from camera work.
Hey, I got us rolling. We're good.
it's fun being the videographer, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
It's a good thing that your specialty is insurance.
I
and
sell
not
the insurance. I don't do the photography or the engineering.
He's ensuring that we had camera.
I'm just here for the jokes. That's all.
All right, bring them, buddy. You better bring them.
Well, we'll see. We got to get
You're
some
working on it?
photography hits in here first.
If the
so.
camera breaks or is stolen, Adam,
Well,
Adam jumps in.
see, I got a face for the radio. That's why I don't really want to mess with the.
Too bad you're on video
Yeah,
and
I know,
Facebook
right?
Live. So, Eric, what are some of your biggest challenges as a photographer?
Biggest challenges as a photographer is kind of building that relationship with the client immediately. They want the best product that I can do, but I have to kind of be cautious about that. People are self-conscious about the way they look or where they live or anything like that. So I have to build that relationship with people ahead of time.
We were talking about, too, some of the challenges you run into is this short amount of time. You've got about an hour scheduled, right, to shoot the average property.
Yeah, if I go into a house, I'm there for an hour. So, I have to be cautious of what I am noticing, and I want to help build credibility with that realtor. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll bring them to the side. I'll let them go to the homeowner and tell these things, because I want you to line yourself up as you're the best of the best. I don't want to go in there and overstep.
Right, and
so I'll bring those things to you. You go to the homeowner. Hey, I noticed, and it's only helping you, which in turn is helping me.
Or something's weird, right? It
Right.
shows off. And Kim, that's where again it makes it so much easier by the time Eric gets there.
Right.
Yes.
Because all the hard work's done.
Right, exactly. If there's, and then that's something that I would love to talk to the photographer about too. Are there things that I can do better to make their job easier when it comes to furniture placement and that sort of thing? I mean, I know about the, moving the eye around, the focal points and pops of color and stuff like that. But since I'm not a photographer, I do try to look at it like, okay, how is it going to show this way? And, can you get this in the picture and that sort of thing? But I also know that clean surfaces, less on the floor, less on the walls, less distraction is always going to photograph better than when you keep all your personal items out.
Yes.
You have to have everything put away. All the countertops cleaned off the kitchen, the
You don't want your
bathroom.
focal point being the body wash on the bathroom counter.
No, you really don't. And, well, it clutters up the picture. Your eye doesn't have anywhere to rest. Even when you go in person, your eye, it's like all the stuff is everywhere. So you want them to focus on the home, the great granite or the fantastic floor pattern or the mosaic on the wall. You don't want them to see, all the things that are going to be leaving.
Well, the home needs to be your zen, right? And so that's basically the element that you're bringing to the consumer is the zen. What's the zen of this home? What's the amazing features and details?
Well, and I always tell all my clients it's important to have furniture in there. Not necessarily to show what it looks like, but you're giving them an opportunity to imagine their stuff there.
Yes.
Someone's TV is on the wall, then they could be picturing, oh, I can put my TV in this spot, or it can go there.
Right.
Or my couch would look really good where that chair is. So it's giving them perspective.
Yes.
It's easier for them to move it in their mind and with their eye when there's something there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, if you look at room after empty room on site, you have it could be the same room for all you know. I mean, especially if you're photographing it from two different sides, it's like, okay, this is
Don't
just
tell
a room.
anyone my secret. Gosh.
So 4 different. Okay, you're photographing every single wall. Okay, good. I have no idea how long that wall is, or what I can put there. It doesn't make any sense.
So real quick, let's do a lightning round. Tell me, what is your biggest pet peeve about your industry? Who wants to go first? What's your pet peeve about your industry? What would you fix? What's the one thing that kind of irritates you?
About my industry, or
yeah, your profession. Everybody's going to answer this, so go. Who wants to jump in first?
why don't you start?
My biggest pet
I'm
peeve.
thinking of it.
My biggest pet peeve, I would say, for sellers is when they don't want to listen on price. Even if we're willing to test a higher price, I want the person to listen to me when I tell them, let's test it for a week, 10 days max, because you're going to hurt yourself. If you sit on the market too long at a price too high, your listing goes stale. In the best of the best homes, if it's overpriced, it's not going to matter, because buyers at the end of the day, they're looking for value.
Yes.
Are they not, Kim?
Yes.
They want the best home for the best value that they can find. So it doesn't have to be the cheapest,
Right.
but they want to feel like they got a value, like stuff
Yes.
is done. Right.
Yes.
That's why these updates and these 9 things we're talking about are so important. That's one of my biggest pet peeves on sellers. I would say my biggest pet peeves on buyers would be if they want to move so fast and not get educated about the process. And so even if they're pretty well rounded, and I would say, Kim, you and Mark had the opportunity to come in and sit down with me for a consultation. We cover a lot of details in that hour of the consultation. We answer a lot of questions you probably didn't even know you had.
Right.
Right. And so that time is very, very well spent, because, it's a pet peeve if they want to rush into a home, right? Or they want us to be a Pop-Tart agent and just run out and show a home. I'm not giving you any value. I'm creating a true disservice for you if I just show up and show you a home. I need to know why I'm there. Why do you even want to buy a home? Why am I here? Let's craft together a very specific and strategic plan around your needs.
Right.
So I would say that's my other pet peeve for a buyer. What about you, Adam? What's your pet peeve?
I mean, I love what I do. I want to say that first.
But you got to have a pet peeve. Everybody has those one little thing.
I would say one of the things that probably, and it's just kind of, it'll drive you crazy from both sides of it, but it'd probably be the things that show up on an inspection, right? So if we've already told them, from a client perspective, either well, why do I need to get that fixed? Why won't they insure me with that? Well, because obviously it's damaged, or it could cause further damage, or the little things that the carriers are asking about most of the time are things that you should want fixed in your home so it doesn't catch fire. You have a water leak or anything else like that.
Well, it's going to limit your choice of carriers. It's going to cost you more money.
Yeah, and then you'll say, well, why is it so expensive? Well, it's because this is the only person that'll write you. But then on the other side of that, we do get it where, like I always say, all of the carriers, even if you have a brand new house, they do reserve the right to do their own inspection. So
all right, quickly run out of
when
time.
they go out there,
Kim, biggest pet peeve.
Okay, biggest pet peeve would be when the homeowners look at the list and they're like, why do I have to do that? Why do I have to take my zebra pictures off the wall? I mean,
I have my home decorated my own way.
Right. Well, it's not going to be your home anymore. You're trying to sell it. So that's my biggest thing is like, just trust me on this, please.
Eric, pet peeve as a photographer.
The impression after the photos or videos taken. I should be able to have those in half an hour, right? I mean, I need time to do my thing.
All right, Rich.
Nickel holding up $1. Let me do the job that you called me to do, and quit trying to skim the top off that penny.
Thanks for joining us this week. Our off-air number to connect with myself or any of our guests is 813-377-2775. You can call or text 813-377-2775. Remember, love where you live, and we're going to fix it. Welcome home. Have a great weekend, everybody.